Hi, everyone. We are at the She Rocks Award, the 9th annual She Rocks Awards red carpet, and we're with Cherie Currie.
John, thank you so much for having me. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here tonight.
Cherie, I'm excited too because, we had a meet and greet like sort of last week, and I really enjoyed talking with you. I just think, first of all, congratulations. It's so nice to be honored, I would imagine. Why is it important for awards like the She Rocks Awards?
Well, this is the greatest award I've ever gotten. And I mean, honestly, about 22 years ago, I thought the Runaways were all but forgotten. I really did not think people even knew who we were, remembered what we did. And, I had the honor of giving Suzi Quatro her award last year, who is just an icon and a wonderful friend. And you know what? I've just never been to an award show that was so well done, so beautifully, articulately attended, and with these amazing women of rock and roll. I was with Ken Phillips, my PR guy, who everyone loves, and I was with Suzi Quatro, and and Brie, darling. It was just one of the most wonderful nights of my life. And then for She Rocks to turn around and give me this award just means so much to me, John. Really does.
No, I know. I think it's very important, and I think that there's not enough. What do you think it is about? I mean, the industry is one thing, but so many young women buy records, and whether it's male recordings or female artists, whatever. It's mostly females that are out buying these things. How come there's not so much attention paid to all of the the amazing things that female musicians have done?
It's so funny you say that, John, because when I was with the Runaways in 77 and we went to Japan, and you want to talk about an oppressed, women. I mean, they just were crazy about us because they had to still walk 4 or 5 feet behind the man down the street, right? So, I mean, we came in at a time where women really just didn't exist except for Suzi Quatro, as far as rock and roll was concerned. Fanny, of course, her sisters and friends. But I've just seen so much progress, honestly, in the last 45 years. It's very hard for me to turn around and say, well, we just haven't made progress, because we have. We really have, John. I mean, we have come so far. And then with She Rocks, that really appreciates women, truly women in rock and roll. I don't know what to say. It almost feels to me like the women that started this is like the Runaways, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. If you think about the legacy of, for you and your band and, you as a singer, there wasn't, like you said, it was Suzi Quatro, right? And Fanny. And I know that there's some other bands out there, but like what you did, do you realize the importance of it?
I do now. I kind of realize what people have taken from it. Again, I'm not one of those people that turn around and say, wow. To be honest, I feel so incredibly blessed that I was part of this band, and we were only together for 3 years. And, again, Kim Fowley, great songwriter. There was a lot in our favor, but also we were a blaze that went out very quickly. Yeah. But the fact that we're remembered today just shows, in that little tiny blaze, we really did a lot for women.
Absolutely. So meeting Suzi Quatro is one of your idols. Are there other women that you would like to collaborate with in the music industry, or?
Well, Linda Perry, for sure. I've met her numerous times. Also, Melissa Etheridge. Come on, okay? I mean, when I went and saw her at the Roxy, I thought I was looking at God. What an amazing voice and performer. And we're talking about back in the early 90s when she and I connected. And I went to her video shoot and all this. What an amazing performer. Of course, the Go-Go's, you know, I mean, all these great gals. It's, to be honest with you, we're so blessed that we've come this far. I don't want people to turn around and say, gosh, we've been cheated, this and that, because we haven't really. Honestly, we haven't. And with She Rocks, it keeps pushing that envelope and pushing us out there. We are so blessed, and we have held our own. And
yeah,
I just can't turn around and say, boy, we've been shortchanged. I can't, because we haven't. Not in my view.
No, and you've done so many other things too. Like, I know that you have a recording that you just released that you're very proud of. What was
Yes.
What was it that was so different for you this time? What was it that made it? Because I know that you're very, very proud of that. What made it so much more special? Is it where you are now in your life that just, you know, makes you feel like maybe you feel you're a better artist, or what is it?
Oh, well, I just turned 61. And to be honest, I sing better than I've ever sang. When I was in the Runaways, I couldn't hardly sing. That's the truth. I was only 15, 16. My voice was changing. And I didn't even know that you could change keys. They never told me that. So I would sing whatever they gave me. And let me tell you, it wasn't that easy. But yeah, Rock and Roll Oblivion. I mean, the album Boulevards of Splendor that just came out, with Matt Sorum producing, and the Veronicas are on it, and Brody Dahl, and it's a record I always wanted to make ever since I left the Runaways, and it's finally out. And Rock and Roll Oblivion is such a powerful song about what we all went through in those days of being oblivious. Right? I mean, we were oblivious of what. All we knew is that we wanted something that people didn't think could happen in a very male-dominated world. And we made it happen with Suzi Quatro, with the help of her, because she kicked down those doors, that woman. Holy cow. Yeah. I mean, what an amazing human being.
Yeah, and I got to work with Suzi too last year, and it was really funny because I said, "Oh, I work with Joan Jett," and she was like, "Oh my God, Joan used to be there at the front row, always sitting watching me."
Well, I was with Joan.
Yes, of course. She said the two of you would be there, like, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what, Joan and I because she stole Suzi, which she was the embodiment of Suzi. I went with David Bowie. And it was perfect because we didn't know how to, we didn't know who we were at 15, 16 years old. So the thing is we pretended to be our idols so that we could get on stage and not be horrified and scared out of our wits, right? So we embodied our idols. Suzi Quatro, I mean, she would sit at the Hyatt House 48 hours at a time waiting for Suzi to come downstairs. I mean, Joan was as much of a Suzi Quatro fan as you can get. And of course, me with David Bowie. But that's how we managed to get through the first year until we realized who we truly were. Yeah. Because we didn't know. We really didn't.
Well, it's so interesting to be a rock and roll idol and then have other people who like copy a rock and roll idol. You know what I mean? Like, the fashion of it is so important too. It really is, you know.
It is. And, you know, when Joan and I, Lita and Sandy, I mean, Lita kind of went with Richie Blackmore in the beginning, but the thing is me and Joan truly were the two that I think were, and Jackie, but yeah, we were so insecure. I have to tell you, we truly were. And when we finally got that little in and realized who we were, and that was after 100 shows. And then I'll never forget that moment. And it was just about the time we went to Japan because, you know, there were women in Japan that counted on us. Sure. There were more women in that audience than men.
Yeah.
You know, we were making a difference for women in Japan. And that was a big deal, a huge big deal. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of foxes, of course. I gotta talk about that. I mean, you were so iconic in that too, and great in that, I think. You know, just
well, thank you.
everything
Thank
was,
you so much.
it was such the right moment. What's your experience with acting still? Do you still want to do that? Do you have that side of you that still nudges at you?
I don't have it in me anymore to go out and read for parts. I'd rather be chainsaw carving. I mean, when I got Foxes, I was very lucky because I'd also landed Rock and Roll High School at the same time. And I chose Foxes over it because I wanted to work with the wonderful Jodie Foster. And she and I became great friends.
Yeah.
And anyway, you know, if people want to give me a part, I can do it. There's nothing I can't do. But do I want to go out and fight? No. Not do it. I'll fight the chainsaw. That I'd rather
direct
do.
bookings only.
That's right.
Just have me come in and do it, right? But so talk to us about the chainsaw art, because that is such an interesting, like, how did it happen? How do you go from female rock lead to cutting things up with a chainsaw and making art? How does it happen?
It just seems to be what happens in my life. I will tell you, if it wasn't for art, my book never would have happened, because I was a counselor for drug addicted teens and I had 2 hours in a classroom to sit. And so I started to draw and sketch. My then manager, Rick Frio, brought me to Price, Stern and Sloan as an artist for children's books. And they asked how long I'd been drawing. I said 1 year. And they said, how's that possible? I told them the brief story of the Runaways in my life. And they said, we've been looking for our first young adult book. This is it. So I walked in wanting just to be, I know, right? It's like, wow. Walked in as a artist and walked out an author. And because of that book is the reason why the Runaways movie happened.
Yep.
But also I went on after Bob and Robert Hayes and I divorced, I went into painting and I just wanted to do relief painting. I painted a skull on a oak table and, you know, steer skull, because I was into the Southwestern stuff. And I just went out and bought a pine tabletop and started doing relief cards. I was more afraid of that Dremel tool, I'll tell you that right now, John, than I ever was of that chainsaw. But it was a progression. And I just happened to pass a couple of guys chainsaw carving at the side of the road. And why it's so important that people remember to please listen to that voice in their head, because that voice would not let me go to sleep or wake up without reminding me that I had to go back there.
Yeah. And
I finally did 2 weeks later, brought my artwork with me. And I saw these most amazing chainsaw carvings ever by Stacy Poitras and Rio de Janeiro. And I asked if I could work there. And they looked at my art and said, sure. The thing is I've taught people to carve before, but you really have to have something quite special to be able to do it, because you can't make any mistakes, John. You can't.
That's it.
I mean, you make a mistake, you're finished. You're out. You're done.
Yeah. Literally, your fingers and the table.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You don't make mistakes with chainsaw carving.
No.
You can't put it back on.
No, that's true. That's so fascinating, though. But the book, though, I was going to get to the book too, because I'm like going this progressive, the book which became the movie. And honestly, I think it's such a well done film. I love that movie, The Runaways.
Well,
I think
I'm glad. Dakota Fanning, I'm just in awe of her. Have been ever since she was a little tiny little girl.
Yes.
And I was so blessed that she wanted to play me. And Floria Sigismonti, I mean, she did a great job recreating the 70s. That was not easy. Yes. Kristen Stewart killed it as Joan. And of course, oh my gosh, Michael Shannon was amazing as Kim Fowley. I mean, that was the story. You know, I mean, how do you tell, you know, over 2 years in 90 minutes? You can't do it. But I think in the end, they did a very good job.
Oh, I think so too. I think it was particularly good. And also what was interesting for me is when I saw that film, I was like, oh my goodness, Dakota Fanning is a woman now, you know?
And she wasn't when I first met her. She came to see me at the Roxy. I was just doing Cherry Bomb, but she had 101 fever, that little girl. She looked just like she did in War of the Worlds. So incy, teeny tiny.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can she possibly be me at 15? And then all of a sudden, within a year, there she was,
Yeah.
grown up.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. And do you remember those times, like going out and everything still fondly, like the whole, the whole scene?
I remember those better than I remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. To be honest. It's so true. Yeah. I mean, I remember those days so crystal clear. And that's when I rewrote the book and brought that young adult book to an adult version, and then I just a few months ago finished my audiobook. It was an experience that I'll tell you, I'm still reeling from it because I just can't believe that I survived, that we survived. It's a great audiobook. Anyone that really wants to be moved and feel good about themselves, I suggest they listen to that book.
So recording that for you, it really dragged you back through that time again. And
John, I did it right in this chair right here. And it absolutely blew my mind because, you know what? I mean, I just couldn't believe that I'd been through all those things. I mean, these immense, horrifying things, actually, and survived it. And unless you actually heard the book, I mean, truly, I think you would sit back if you listen to the book. It's 15 hours long. It's a big deal.
Oh, that's, it takes you that long to read a book, if not more.
Sure. Sure. But I told my neighbor next door, of course, I mean, somehow he seems to be able to hear if I'm playing a little bit of music here and there. And I told him, if you hear me screaming and crying, don't call the police. I'm doing my audiobook. And that's exactly what was happening. I screamed and cried, and it was really intense, really intense.
Well, such is the life of an artist, right?
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I wouldn't really trade it. Even the horror of some of the things I've been through, I wouldn't trade it. But I will say, during the pandemic and everything, to do the book at that particular time wasn't probably the best time for me to do it, because I realized that, we still have healing to do, people like me, that have gone through some of these things. And I'm doing my very best to make that happen. But it's hard to do it completely and utterly alone. Right?
Sure. And I mean, I know you have a son, right? So you have the joy of having him around and
but
helping.
I don't see him. Yeah, I don't
setting up your
him.
lighting at least, right?
He did give me this for Christmas. God bless him. Yes. Yes. But I mean, he doesn't want to give me something, and he keeps getting the testing and all that kind of stuff. I've had one test, but the thing is, I don't do anything but go to the market. That's it.
Yeah. But Cherie, I feel like we're getting through. And I think that our positivity is what leads us forward, right?
Totally.
So I feel like what can you tell us that you're feeling you're going to do this year? And it can be in your wildest imagination, because anything is still possible, and I would love to know what your big plans are.
Well, everything is possible, and anything is possible. Again, we're in a position right now that we're not used to, and that is turning everything over to government, which is not something that where I can't carve, which is unfortunate because everyone's home. Right. And I have respected everybody's privacy and let them alone between, before 10 and after 4. But I've been carving in my backyard for 11 years. I can't do it right now because it's a horrible sound. And I don't want to do that in the middle of a pandemic where everyone is like losing their stuff.
Right.
But the thing is I think we're gonna come out of this so much stronger than we ever thought possible.
Yeah.
I know I will. And I'm not saying that easily, John, because I mean, this has been very tough, very, very tough.
Sure.
And my big fear is, of course, for people that haven't saved enough money and can't, you know, protect themselves from hunger and all that. I mean, that really hurts my heart.
Yeah.
And so I do get a little feisty, a little angry with government when they're not helping people the way they should. And I'm one of those, right?
Yeah, that's okay though, because I think it's important that we, again, that we're keeping our positivity and that we're looking forward to moving ahead. I am just excited that you are getting your award because I think you're deserving too. I'm sure Susie will be very excited to see you up on sort of the virtual stage, getting your due as well. Is there anyone else that you want to thank along the way that, you know, that made a meaningful love mark on your life, you know? Yeah.
My family, absolutely. I mean, I was not the easiest person to get to know in the beginning of all this, but She Rocks, absolutely. I mean, what an amazing idea. She Rocks is an idea like me picking up that chainsaw. It's an idea that just works like my chainsaw art has worked the last 20 years. I mean, and I want to thank Ken Phillips, absolutely, positively, one of my dearest friends. I want to thank Blackheart for finally putting out my album nine years later. And Matt Sorum, who believed in me enough to make a record, and my son. And that's it. That's it.
That's a good group.
And my fans and friends, absolutely as well. But She Rocks first and foremost for doing what they've done over the years for women in rock and roll. Very special, really, truly.
Well, they're giving you an award because of what you've done as well. So pat yourself on the back. There you go.
Thanks, John. And thanks for the makeup tips, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Well, listen, like a duck to water, you took it because you look fantastic.
Thank you.
I love all the work you did on your eyes. It's gorgeous. You look amazing.
Thank you so much. And you are just awesome. I can't wait to meet you in person.
Me too. I can't wait to get to work on you and do your makeup sometime.
Oh, me too.
We'll get back to that life. Okay.
Thank you, darling. Thank you for everything.